Hello and welcome to Heroes of History, and welcome to another Let's Test Heroes, and this time we're looking into Kiviuq, which is the most recent 5-star hero from the season pass here on the beta server. So he'll come to you in a month or two, but let's look into what can he actually do, and is he actually really strong. Now, as you can see here, he got a rather large defense and not too bright attack. A decent high amount of hit points and a, well, rather low initial charge. Base damage normal, attack speed normal, range is melee, and medium movement speed, and regular charge 12.5 seconds, not too high, not too... So actually everything seems to be okay-ish. So, well, let's move into his ability here. I have moved it up to level 5, it's called the Piercing Rain. In this damage transfer and shield, so he shields himself for up 2072% of his base damage, which is actually rather high for compared to other defenders, but he doesn't have a taunt. He has a damage transfer here, and he transfers almost 70% of incoming ability damage taken by allied heroes to himself for 5 seconds, compared to a taunt that actually only let them take on the ordinary damage, and then the ability damage is going where they usually would have gone. So in that regard, he acts differently on the battlefield if it works as intended. That is, let's look at his weakness. Defense plus 7.5%. So here in, well, focus on that. Evasion plus 15%, that's also a good thing if you want to keep alive. Defense another 15%, hit points 15%, and defense 25%, so almost 50% extra defense and also 15% hit points. So he'll be relatively hard to kill, and evasion also helps that. He's actually a damage dodger if you can, well, if you can awaken him 5 times. I don't think I can. I don't got that kind of money. So let's move on and test him on the battlefield and see if he can actually do a good job there. Now let's go here to the team battle, and let's start here where we usually Now, as you can see, the first wave here is not really having anyone being able to transfer the ability damage, but we'll get to that in the second round. This is, well, actually the easy part of this battle, because there's barely anyone here who can actually damage anyone. So here, when we go for a big one here, we got, well, specifically I would take hold on that Lentil guy, because he has a rather high ability damage, and I guess that is where Kiviuq will actually excel the most, because he can be a pretty decent shield if you use him in the arena, where people tend to use a lot of heavy damage dealers, and then he can take over. Like here, you just saw how much damage he took away, and that's just at level 5. Now imagine if his ability went to 20 or 25, maybe even 40. He would really be able to take that away from a lot of heroes in an arena battle. Now let's look at the battle stats here. Well, whether this was a fair comparison or not, well, let's just test him on a few other battles too. Because unfortunately I can't really show him in an arena fight, because he wouldn't fit in. His like 50 levels too low for that. So we'll have to test him more like we would here, and well, this battle might not be the best of them for him to attract damage, and again he will show up as someone who doesn't really hurt a lot, but well, unless you were in the midst of the fight, he wouldn't attract a lot of damage either. But as you can see, the others are doing actually great here, and well, he's holding the fort down there with an immense shield that doesn't fade away. Well, he could have done better if he was ending up in the midst of this fight up here with the Wallace guy. But apparently that was too much to ask. Well, I should have placed him different for that to happen, but as you can see, we managed still, but we also now see where he shouldn't be, actually. So, nice learning in that too. Now let's see here on the battle stats. Well, now let's move on to another battle, and if I remember correct, that should be a bit better for showing Kiviuq's trenches. Let's see if I remember correct. Oh, we are needing to going back a step or two. Oh, there is actually 2 Spartacuses here, and they should actually be good at showing him, as he should be, how he can hold off everything from a lot, because right within those 5 seconds that he works, this guy is trying to kill this one over here, and the shield over here with himself. Well, he didn't lose too much here, and now one is dead, and the other one is fighting against a mountain of hit point that he can't really break through, so now he's dead too. And to be honest, that showed pretty good why he will be an essential part of your arena team to lure out the damage from the single strikers. Let's look here. Well, he still doesn't seem to take that much hit points in damage, which is a bit odd, I think. But he isn't taunt here, so he doesn't attract damage on himself solely. And well, with Lagertha landing in the midst of the enemies and them attacking the closest enemy, well, the damage doesn't really go his way too hard. Let's see. That wasn't the one I was in. So now let's take another one here. There is Spartacus over here again, and well, that one attracting damage. And if we have him to actually attract damage, well, he has to hit on someone else. We just keep him down here. But nevertheless, well, someone keeps attracting us to him, so it doesn't really change much where we stood at the start, because the damage will everyone will be attracted up here to King Minus. And oh,
do your thing.
Yeah, well, that's jeopardy of Lagertha. Even though we have someone with a rather large amount of shield that can take on a lot of damage, it doesn't help much if you don't, well, let him handle the damage. So this will only be a 2-star, and let's see what the stats are giving us here to work with. But by numbers, we saw him here attracting well, a great deal more damage than in the previous fights. So that's not too bad of an example of his ability. So let's just turn up here to that Ottoman fort here and take a final one here. And I'm not certain that is well, it's a too great an example of a place, because that's an area damager, and the area damaging on heroes with his ability is, well, not really his strong spot, but just let him do it. It takes a little for his shield, but other than that, they should all voluntarily give their damage to Kiviuq for him to really put it to real use here. With a bit of healing, we should still be able to do great here, and maybe even get a 5-star here, because now Lagertha has pointed ourselves to one of the sides, and as none of the abilities is damaging Kiviuq, well, it doesn't really attract a lot of damage. the second battle here. This is purely an infantry squad, and in this situation we would be much better off with a taunt hero, especially here in the second wave, and well, with people mainly being area damage in the last round, it would have been a way better battle for a taunt hero than this guy. But I do see true potential here. Also, if we go to the historical battles, the Sparta as an example, because, well, all those trying to snipe your back row of heroes, well, he could attract a lot of that damage, I'd say. So let's look at the battle stats one last time here. Now let's look at those collected battle stats and compare to those up here with the Lagatha and Huamulan, and well, it's actually the same team. Pakal the Great is the one has been changed, and well, you can see they've been done a bit more damage down here. Well, that's a bit up and down. It's not too much in difference, but well, Kiviuq isn't doing a great deal of damage. He's actually doing way less damage than Ashok the Great, which is one of the major changes. But we could see that from his attack, base attack, that he was not really the strongest attacker. He should be a strong defender though. Looking at the average damage taken, well, Huamulan did feel a bit safer, and Kiviuq took a lot more damage because he attracted some of those long range damage, and well, that's just about it where they actually really changed. Now, this isn't the best of tests. I should probably give him another 50 levels and show his strengths in the arena or somewhere similar, because right here is not the best way to test him. It just doesn't really suit his abilities, and it's hard to find a battle in the campaign map that can actually that will actually be a good thing for showing his abilities strengths, because there isn't a lot of single strikers in the campaign. But if you don't take him for his damage, the way he shields, it can really save your units from dying a horrible death from single strikes. And now you're up against a lot of single strikers, you'll be able to take that down, and a good healer that can heal a lot of heroes at once, and they have been hit differently, different heroes from the single strikes, well, then you could really have a great benefit from him. Well, that was all I had to say about this hero, and I will say thank you for watching this video.